You're born on Noth, the island of butterflies. Your mother weaves silk. Your father catches fish in nets older than his grandfather. You're 5 years old. You don't know how to count yet, but you know the butterflies are yellow and the ocean is warm, and your mother sings when she braids your hair. The slavers come on a Tuesday. Giscari ships with red sails. They don't ask questions. They don't negotiate. They take everyone under 10 and kill everyone who fights back. Your father dies with a spear in his chest. Your mother screams your name until a slaver breaks her jaw with the hilt of his sword. You're chained to 40 other children in the hull of a ship that smells like vomit and death. The crossing to Astapor takes 11 days. 6 children die on the voyage. Their bodies are thrown overboard without ceremony. You learn your first lesson. You're cargo, not human. Astapor rises from the red brick and blood dust like a monument to cruelty. They march you through the Plaza of Pride. Thousands of soldiers stand in perfect formation, motionless as statues. These are unsullied. In 6 months, you'll understand what that word really means. The good masters inspect you like livestock. They check your teeth, your eyes, your limbs. One boy is rejected for a clubfoot. You watch him get dragged away. You never see him again. You pass inspection. You're given a name. Not your name. A name that marks you as property. Gray worm. Red flea. Black rat. You're brown locust now. Your real name dies in your throat. Day 1 of training, they cut you. Root and stem, the good masters say. Everything. No milk of the poppy. No wine. A leather strap between your teeth and a blade sharper than prayer. The pain is white and total, and you scream until your voice breaks. They cauterize the wound with a hot iron. The smell of your own burning flesh is something you'll never forget. 1 in 3 boys dies from the cutting. From infection. From blood loss. From shock. You survive because your body is strong and your luck is cruel. You wake up 3 days later in a barracks with 60 other boys who are no longer boys. You're something else now, something the world has never asked permission to create. The training starts immediately. You wake at dawn. You run 10 miles carrying stones. You drill with spear and shield until your hands bleed. You learn formations. Lockstep. Tortoise. Shield wall. You learn that hesitation earns the whip. Weakness earns the whip. Looking a good master in the eye earns the whip. They give you a puppy when you're 7. For weeks, it's the only thing you're allowed to love. It sleeps beside you. You feed it scraps from your own rations. You name it, secretly, in your heart, where the good masters can't hear. Then, one morning, an instructor hands you a knife and orders you to kill it. You hesitate. The whip comes. You hesitate again. The whip comes harder. You learn the lesson. Love is a weapon they use against you. Attachment is weakness. Emotion is failure. You kill the puppy. You don't cry because crying earns the whip. You bury the tears somewhere so deep inside yourself that you forget where you put them. By 10, you've watched half your batch die. Training accidents, infected wounds, boys who can't survive the brutality. The good masters don't mourn. They simply take more children from more ships. The supply is infinite because the world is cruel and children are cheap. At 12, they test your obedience. A brick on your stomach. A hammer shatters it. You don't flinch. Your stomach bruises black for weeks. Pain is temporary. Disobedience is fatal. You're 14 when you kill your first man, a condemned criminal for practice. You make it quick because you're efficient, not cruel. He dies confused why a child is ending his life. You feel nothing. That's the point. They've carved out everything human and filled the space with discipline. You're a machine that breathes, a weapon that eats. You're unsullied. At 16, your training is complete. You stand in formation with 300 others, identical spiked caps, identical shields, identical spears. The good masters inspect you one final time. You're given a single silver coin. One coin for 11 years of slavery, mutilation, and horror. You take it because refusing earns the whip, but the coin means nothing. Money is for humans. Your property. They march you to the Plaza of Pride. You stand motionless for 7 hours in the sun while buyers examine the merchandise. Merchants, nobles, warlords. They speak about you in third person while you're standing right there. This one looks strong. That one's formation discipline is impressive. Your livestock with excellent posture. A buyer approaches. Maybe Krasnus Mo Naklos, maybe someone worse. You don't care because caring was beaten out of you years ago. They negotiate prices. Units of 8, units of 100. You're purchased along with 200 others. The transaction takes 15 minutes. Your life changes hands for the price of a warhorse. You serve. That's what you are. You guard estates. You fight battles. You stand motionless during feasts while free men eat and laugh and touch their wives. You watch their children play and remember, faintly, butterflies. In battle, you're unstoppable, not because you're brave, but because you're not afraid. Fear requires caring whether you live or die. You don't care. You can't care. The conditioning is too deep. You march into spears with perfect formation. You hold the line while men scream and bleed and beg. You step over your brother's corpses without breaking stride, because that's the training. The free soldiers fear you, not because you're cruel, but because you're empty. They see death in your eyes, but it's not bloodlust. It's nothing. You're a hole in the shape of a person. You're what happens when humanity is systematically extracted and replaced with obedience. Years pass. You're 20, then 25. Your body is scarred. You've killed 43 men. You feel nothing because nothing is what they made you feel. One day, maybe Daenerys Targaryen appears. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she breaks your chains and calls you free. Or maybe you serve cruel masters until you die. It doesn't matter because freedom is a word for humans and you're not sure what you are anymore. If you're freed, what does that mean? Freedom to do what? Go where? You can't return to Noth. The boy from Noth died on a ship at 5 years old. You can't have a family. They took that possibility with a blade when you were too young to understand what they were taking. You can't do anything except stand in formation and kill efficiently. Your excellence is the proof of your destruction. The good masters were right. The system works. Take children young enough, break them completely enough, mutilate them permanently enough, and you create perfect soldiers. Soldiers who never retreat, never disobey, never question, never dream. You're an unsullied. The word means without stain, without flaw. But the real meaning is without humanity, without future, without choice. You're a monument to what happens when cruelty becomes systematic, when horror becomes industry, when children become products. Sometimes at night, when you're alone, you remember yellow butterflies and a woman singing. You remember a name that wasn't brown locust or gray worm or any slave name. Your real name, given by your mother in a language you've almost forgotten. You whisper it once, just to prove you remember, just to prove that something from before survived. Then you bury it again, because remembering hurts. And tomorrow you have to stand in formation. Tomorrow you have to be perfect. Tomorrow you have to be unsullied. That's who you are now. That's who you'll be until you die. Not because you chose it, because choice was the first thing they took, before they took anything else. The butterflies are gone. The singing is gone. The boy is gone. Only the weapon remains.